Hello, everybody, and welcome to another video. And this time we are going to talk about the Argentina national team, and we're going to talk about the 2024 Copa America, the draw. We know the groups, we know who's going to face who, we know the dates, we know everything. We're going to run through the entire draw. And by we, I mean it's myself, it's everybody in the chat, and of course, not alone here. We have the one and only Osvaldo. Osvaldo, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. A pleasure to be joining you, Roy. I'm happy with the draw. I will tell you that. I also want to hear the people in the chat if they're happy as we are, because I know you're happy too with the draw. Of course, then we gotta play the matches and we gotta win. But I'm happy. I'm happy.
I'm very happy, and we're gonna get into all of that. And as always, as we always do, we'll take a look where everybody's joining us from. Good morning, John, a dear friend of ours here at Mundo Albiceleste, all the way from Malaysia. We have Master Azar. Hello, and welcome. We have Surab all the way from India. Good morning. We have some more people here. Master Azar, excuse me, from California. We have Kshitij, good morning from Delhi, India. Look at that, India. Janet, good evening, Janet. Hello, all the way from Toronto. Tarun from India as well. Jaco Tacos joining us too from Irvine, California. So as you guys can tell, we always get worldwide. We always get whether it's Asia, Europe, North America, South America, Australia, Antarctica, doesn't matter. We're all Argentina fans, and we're all here to discuss, and we're gonna discuss, as mentioned, the Copa America draw. Osvaldo, you said you were happy. I think we're kind of happy, maybe for similar reasons here, and we'll get into that in just a second. We have Nani from Atlanta, so Atlanta's gonna be. It's funny you mentioned Atlanta because Argentina is gonna be playing the opening match of the Copa America in Atlanta, and we'll get to that. And we have George from New York City. We're not going to mention the other abbreviations there at the end, but all the way from New York. So, Osvaldo, you said you were happy about the Copa America draw for Argentina. Uh, I'm happy as well. We avoided, quote unquote, maybe the more difficult part of the draw. What did you think?
Yeah. We were talking just a couple of minutes ago how we wanted to avoid basically Uruguay, not only in our group, but also just the fact that they're not even our group or Group B. That makes them we can only face them in a hypothetical final. And I think Brazil and Uruguay, we can agree that are the biggest rivals of Argentina, even though Brazil is not playing really well. um, but yeah, just the fact that not only the teams that we have in our group, but also the fact that we don't have Uruguay in our group or in Group B is something really positive.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. I'll be honest, Uruguay was the team I wanted to avoid. Not necessarily, I'm scared of them or anything like that, but try and avoid them. Maybe have them face Brazil, and ultimately that is what happened there. So really quickly, if we look at the draw, Argentina are in Group A. So Argentina, Peru, Chile, and then it's either Canada or Trinidad and Tobago, and that's going to be Argentina's opening match in Atlanta on June 20th versus the CONCACAF team. And then after that, Group B is Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. And then Group C, we have USA, Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. And Group D, and we'll talk about it in a bit. I think it's the group of death, in my opinion. But Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and then it's either Costa Rica or Honduras. And I was a little bit relieved when I saw Uruguay on the other side of the bracket, a little bit like you, Osvaldo. And this group, I'm asking everybody in the chat, and I'm asking you, Osvaldo, is this the group of death, do you think, at the Copa America? I personally don't think so.
I was thinking about that. Which one is the group of death?
Do you,
I personally think that all the groups are very equalized, if I can use that word. I don't think there's a group of death. To be honest, I don't know what the chat thinks. For you, is the Group D?
I would go more towards Group D, not because the group, or not just because I think the group is difficult, but I mean, Brazil, Colombia, that's going to be very interesting. But not only that, is that essentially one of those teams will be playing Uruguay in all likelihood in the semifinals, or depending on how that goes. So the road to the final will be a little bit more difficult. I do agree with George, by the way. I do definitely agree. I'm not passionate about avoiding anybody. It's not like I want to avoid Uruguay or I want to avoid that. But just in the sense of if Uruguay and Brazil could, you know, so to speak, beat each other up, why not? Let them have fun, you know? Uh, but for us, yeah, I don't think there's a clear group of death. But if I had to say overall, maybe Group D or Group C has maybe a potentially more difficult road to the final up until they would meet, let's say,
For
Argentina.
sure, and I agree with that comment. You being Argentina, you don't really passionately want to avoid any other team. But it's also true that in the World Cup, when we knew that Croatia beat Brazil, we were happy. And
Yeah,
it's always better for the players to not play many times again against great teams in only tournament. It's good just to play them in the semifinals and final, or just in the final, because you get mentally very tired. And even though you might win those games, because maybe Argentina is at a level that they can win all those games, just the fact of playing against one great team in the quarterfinals, one great team in the semifinals and the final, that makes it more difficult. And that seems to be the case of teams like Uruguay and Brazil, that they're in Group C and Group D, that they might have to play some good rivals before the final if they
yeah,
reach it.
yeah. No, exactly. They're gonna have, and look, Copa America. It is a difficult tournament. There's some difficult teams. The bracket of the draw. You know, that's not to say if Argentina were on the other side, I would still be equally as confident. Don't get me wrong. But I think the more difficult side of the bracket is maybe more on the other side. George mentions and states Uruguay is the biggest threat in this tournament. Um, we're gonna talk about it, you know, as the tournament gets closer. But I think on paper and on the pitch, I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's fair to say. You know, we spoke about that in the
I
last video.
Yeah, I have a question to make you, Roy, and the chat and everyone that is watching the video. If you think any team from the CONCACAF can be dangerous for
Oh,
Argentina, for the other teams.
you know, I'll say is that's a very good question. That's a very good question, Osvaldo. I will say this, and I'm going to go back to the World Cup draw. I said, and this has nothing to do with the fact that I live in Canada. It has nothing to do with that. I said back in the World Cup draw, I said, you know, Canada would get a result versus Belgium at the World Cup. They narrowly lost at that match, if I'm not mistaken. I think Canada has a chance. I think they're an exciting team to watch. I think the World Cup definitely helped them get the experience. If not, I mean, Mexico is Mexico. They're always a tricky side to play against. And the USA, at times, you almost don't know what to expect. I don't know. I don't see any team, any CONCACAF team beating either Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, or even Colombia, in my opinion.
Okay,
I,
and
I don't know about you.
and let me ask you another question. I honestly don't follow that much the CONCACAF teams, but if you have to rate, or you have to do the top three of those teams, Canada, Mexico, and the US, Canada being in our
Um,
group, how would you do that top three?
I would say, well, look, I mean, you never know what you're going to get with actually either Mexico or the USA. Mexico are Gold Cup winners. We faced them at the last World Cup last year. Um, are they as good as they were 10, 15 years ago? Probably not. Absolutely not. USA have a conveyor belt of talent that's really starting to show up for them. I would say Mexico or USA are first, and Canada maybe just behind in second or third. In my opinion, but Canada has some very good players, very good players. And
Yeah.
looking at the
Yeah, they
chat,
have Alfonso Davies. They have from Bayern Munich,
Jonathan David from
Lille.
in France with Lyon, not Lyon, Lille. Sorry,
Lille. Yeah, they have
Lille.
Eustachio that plays in Porto. He plays in Portugal, in Porto, in the midfield, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
with Alan Varela, the Argentinian. Then they have Hutchinson from Besiktas. They have some
They
good players.
Canada certainly has some good players. Certainly has some good players. No, absolutely. Um, and you know, there was a comment here. I'm going to bring it up, and this was one thing that I thought when it came out. Very good question here by Nani. Is it just me, or are you tired of facing Chile? We faced Chile, as far as I remember, at every Copa America since 2015. Obviously, 15, 16 in the final. 2019, we faced them in the third place
Yeah.
match. And then even last time in the last Copa America, the one that Argentina won, the opening match was versus Chile, and it was a 1-1 draw. The one that Messi scored the free kick, and then they had a
Yeah.
penalty.
Even
Um,
in the World Cup that we in the World Cup in the Copa America that we lost, I don't remember if it was the 2015 or 2016. We
in the
beat
final,
Chile in the no, but we beat Chile
2016,
in the first
2016,
match. Yeah,
2016, we beat Chile in the first match. I remember Messi wasn't playing. Messi did not play that match. Di Maria
I don't
played, I
remember
think,
that.
and we continuously get to play Chile. It's like a little mini rival Copa America now.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
and let me ask you this because I'm gonna be honest. When I saw Peru as our first rival, I was happy because if you compare it to the other teams in Pot Two, yeah, Peru, Ecuador, Uruguay, and Colombia. I don't know if you agree with me, but in that pot two, I think the easiest one would be Peru. That right now, let me check. But yeah, they're last in the CONMEBOL qualifiers. They played 6 matches as the rest of the teams. They only have 2 points. They draw 2 times and they lost 4. They haven't won a single game in the CONMEBOL qualifiers.
Yeah, I had the same kind of reaction because I was looking at Pot Two, and Pot Two is it was a difficult pot. There's some very very good teams, all of them essentially. And then when I saw Peru, and obviously Peru went to Group A, I thought, okay, we kind of, I mean, I say avoided, but we got on paper the easiest team out of that pot, and it's a team that we just beat. I mean, Argentina just beat Peru in Lima in October. So you think to yourself, okay, it could have been a more difficult opponent out of that. So I was very happy to see Peru. No disrespect to them. I have some Peruvian friends, very nice people. Nothing against the national team, but yeah, I was happy when I saw them. I was
Yeah,
happy when I saw them.
yeah. I mean, if you see historically about in the recent years against Peru and against Chile, they usually have been difficult for Argentina. But those teams are not the same national team that they have today. I think that
Mm.
nowadays is the best moment to find to play against Peru and Chile. They're not playing well. Well, Peru we just mentioned they're 10th out of 10 in the CONMEBOL
Yeah,
qualifiers, and Chile they're 8th.
they're they're not doing well. They're not, and Chile's been on a downward spiral. They really have been going downhill for a couple of years now. Since essentially winning the Copa America, they haven't done too well. Uh, but yeah, we got the easiest on paper, no disrespect, but the easiest team out of pot two. Then we got, I mean, we spoke about Chile, as you mentioned, Canada, Trinidad, and Tobago. I think Canada's the more difficult opponent of the two. I know little to nothing about Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not going to lie and pretend I'm an expert about them. Uh, but, I was watching it here. I was watching the draw on Canadian television, and they had, the analysts and the panel. And they were pretty confident that Canada would get through against Trinidad and Tobago. So we'll see about that. We'll see about that. What's going on with them? Janet's asking, is Bravo still the Chilean keeper? He's not the number one anymore. They have changed, but
Yeah,
I believe I don't know if he retired, but I
yeah.
know he's no longer their number one.
The goalkeeper is Brian Cortez.
Cortez. There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Thank you for that, Osvaldo. Now, if we look at Group B, we'll talk about that as well. Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. Typo here on my end, Jamaica, not Jamaica. So Osvaldo and everybody in the chat, let us know. Essentially, knock on wood, Argentina is gonna face one of these teams in the quarterfinals. Who do you think finishes first, and who do you think finishes second in Group B?
It's a good question. I don't think Jamaica will qualify. To be honest, in
Okay.
that group, and that is
Yeah.
gonna be very tight because based on history, you would say Mexico would qualify as first because we're talking about Ecuador, who, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they have ever won the Copa America. But on the other hand, they're having a good team. They have good players. Venezuela is also in a racing level, and Mexico, on the other hand, they struggled to qualify to this Copa America. If I'm not mistaken, they lost the first game 2-0 or 3-0 against Honduras, and then in the second leg they had to also win 2 or 3-0 to then go to penalties. So it's gonna be very even. Um, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Who do you think is
I
gonna be first and second?
looking at this one, I think, and by the way, I just double checked. No, Ecuador never won the Copa America. Never won it. So I would think Ecuador tops the group out of this one. I'm going to agree with Ismail. I think Ecuador tops the group. And then, historically, you might say Mexico maybe is a better team than Venezuela. But Venezuela, I don't know. There's something about them. They it all depends if they just get that one win. But I'm gonna go with Ecuador first, and then potentially Mexico second. So I guess that would mean Argentina versus Mexico in the quarterfinals. But let's see
Yeah.
what everybody else here says. John says I'm going with Mexico. Question remains if CONCACAF teams will take this tournament seriously. That's a very good question. Varun, Ecuador, Mexico. Um, Rajit says Ecuador first, Venezuela second. Venezuela are an informed team from South America. See, that's why I wasn't sure about them or Mexico coming in second. I could absolutely see them going in second. Nani agrees, says Venezuela might be a surprise. Zongao, welcome. Welcome, Zongao. Ecuador first, Mexico second. And, well, George kind of just says it, probably. In other words, Ecuador first.
Yeah, yeah. No, Venezuela has a new coach, the Argentinian Fernando Batista.
Yeah.
And yeah, as many other teams in this Copa America, they have some Argentinian coaches. But since Fernando Batista arrived to Venezuela, they've been playing much better and getting better results. They draw against Brazil, so it's gonna be a nice group to watch. I'm not sure. I don't know if you know, Roy. Uh,
Yeah.
has Venezuela ever won a Copa America?
I'm going to check that now.
Because if it's not, if they haven't won, maybe that's a group that none of them have won a Copa America, because I don't think Mexico and Jamaica have played many, because it's usually just CONMEBOL. So it might be the only group without Copa America winners, maybe.
They never won it. Venezuela's actually best showing was a fourth place in 2011 when it was
Okay.
in Argentina. So they
Okay.
never won the Copa America. There you go.
That's Yeah. Maybe it's a group, the only group that doesn't have Copa America winners, I guess.
Yeah, which is Group B. And Ismail mentions not to forget Ecuador beat Uruguay back in October. So Ecuador has some pedigree. They certainly have some potential. Master Azar adding more to it says don't sleep on Venezuela. They're above Brazil in the World Cup qualifying, I believe. Yeah. So think you're right on that. Osvaldo, no team in Group B has won the Copa America. And there you go, Rajit. Thank you for that. Venezuela, Ecuador are the only two teams to never win the Copa America out of South America. Then we get to Group C. USA, the hosts, United States of America, Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. Everybody, once more, and Osvaldo, I'll throw it back to you. Although I think I know who you're going to say is going to finish first in this group. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's very clear that there are two good teams, and then two teams that, like Panama and Bolivia, that uh, I don't think they're gonna qualify. It's gonna be between the United States and Uruguay, and I believe that Uruguay is gonna go above the United States. But the United States have been playing well in the last World Cup. They done better than Uruguay. Actually, Uruguay didn't qualify, and the United States ended up losing, I believe, in the round of 16 against the Netherlands.
The Netherlands, yeah.
But well, Uruguay again, another team with a Argentinian coach that just arrived, that have improved their level. Um, and since they won against Argentina and other results, I think that they come to this Copa America with a lot of motivation.
Absolutely. For me, they're the team to beat. A lot of motivation, a lot of confidence as well. Uruguay last won the Copa America in 2011 in Argentina, and I remember that particular match that went to penalty kicks, and that was, as much as it hurts, that was actually a very entertaining match. It just we missed a lot of chances in that one. But yeah, no, Uruguay, I think, along with Argentina, are the teams to beat in South America right now. I think they top this group. I'll go as far as saying they top this group with 9 points. Does Uruguay? Looking at the chat, a couple of people are, I think most, if not everybody, is saying uh, Uruguay first, USA second, except for Varun, if I'm not mistaken. Varun saying Uruguay, Panama. I haven't been following Panama, so I cannot make any predictions about that. I've been following USA, on and off. Um, I'm gonna have to say probably USA are second in this one behind
Yeah,
Uruguay, but I'd like to see some surprise maybe, but I think Uruguay and USA are the two teams out of this
Yeah.
one for sure.
Yes, you were watching the draw from a Canada TV station. I was watching it here in the US from a US TV station,
Okay,
and what they were saying was that yeah, they were happy about it because they played Panama and Bolivia first, and lastly Uruguay. So they hope to win the first two matches and then arrive to the match with Uruguay with 6 points. But they were also talking about this Copa America as a way to play against good opponents before the World Cup. They see it as a good tournament
preparation.
to prepare for the World Cup that is going to be also in the US.
Yeah, and that's I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that as well. That's a good it's a good way for them to prepare, like you said. And I think someone else mentioned it in the chat. I think it was John that mentioned it, saying asking how serious are the CONCACAF teams going to take this tournament, right? Are they going to go all out to try and win it or to get a good result, or are they going to send their B team, right? I remember in the 2007 Copa America, Argentina faced the USA in the opening match of that one, and the USA essentially kind of sent almost like a B team, almost
Remember. Yeah, but I believe that time it was at the same time they were playing the Gold Cup.
the
That
Gold
is
Cup as
the
well. Yeah,
CONCACAF Gold Cup. That for them, for some reason, it's more important than the Copa America. I don't think that's the case now. That's the case now, and also let's take into consideration that they're playing the Copa America here in the US, so it would be very weird if they really put their B team.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you are right about that. They have historically it's always coincided both tournaments roughly at the same time between the Copa America and the Gold Cup. And for them, like you said, it's they are playing at home. Vroom says this, and we'll I'm gonna circle back to this, but it's basically going to be a home game for Argentina versus Chile at MetLife. That one we'll circle back to. We'll finish up the groups and we'll talk about all of that. And then the last group, and this one could be a toss up, but it's Group D: Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and then it's either Costa Rica or Honduras. Uh, Osvaldo, everybody, what do you guys think? Well, what's going on with this group?
Yeah, as you were saying, I think it was before the live. I think it's a tough group for Brazil. More taking into consideration how they arrived to this Copa America. In another circumstances, you don't think that Brazil would really struggle with this group. They lost against Colombia just a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, or even months. And then Paraguay, right now in the qualifiers, they're seventh. Uh, they've been winning a couple of matches, then also losing. They have some good players like Miguel Almiron, but then they don't have much. And then the other two CONCACAF teams that I think they're gonna be either Honduras or Costa Rica. I don't think they're gonna struggle too much with that. But it's also important for Brazil and Colombia, both teams that I really think that they aspire to go further in this Copa America, to try to qualify as first, so they don't face the first in the Group C.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That's going to be one interesting group for, and especially even more so for the last point that you made. They would want to avoid whoever's going to finish first in Group C, which is probably going to be Uruguay, right? In all likelihood, Uruguay probably tops that group. Jack Otako mentions Brazil could have Ancelotti by the time the Copa America starts. But for now, Colombia and Uruguay. Uh, Everybody essentially in the group is saying Colombia, Brazil. Sorry, Colombia, Brazil is essentially that. That's Jeet saying Brazil, Colombia. Either way, Brazil should face Colombia again or Uruguay in the semifinals. I don't think we get a big surprise. I know someone mentioned it in terms of Brazil not qualifying. I don't see it. Not in this case. I would love to see it. Don't get me wrong, as an Argentina fan, but I don't think it happens. I think Brazil qualifies. I don't know who qualifies first. Osvaldo, you said Brazil first, Colombia second.
Um, I would say Colombia first, Brazil second.
Colombia first, Brazil second. Oof, and that would set up Brazil, Uruguay in the semifinals. This is a difficult one
Yeah.
because do you under essentially it all comes down to, do you think Paraguay could take points away from Colombia.
I
I don't
was
think they could.
yeah, I was thinking about that. I think their main goal will be to take some points from either Brazil or Colombia.
Yeah,
But in papers, I don't think that Paraguay have much. Again, their star player that he's really good. I really like him. It's Miguel Almiron, but
Almiron.
they don't have much more, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't see too much out of Paraguay. I would like to see Paraguay make it, sure, maybe in place of Brazil. I wouldn't say no to that. But yeah, I think it's gonna be Colombia first, Brazil second, but don't underestimate Colombia's ability sometimes to just kind of bottle it and not do not do well and kind of mess it up for themselves.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think we both agree, or all the ones that are here in the chat also agree that it would be either Brazil against the United States or Uruguay in the quarterfinals, and
yeah,
then Colombia against one of those two teams. Those are gonna be some good quarterfinals there. Huh?
there's going to be some very good quarterfinals, and even honestly, even for us, for Argentina, I mean, Argentina could potentially face either Mexico or Ecuador in the quarterfinals, or Venezuela. You never know. Venezuela's in good form as well. So that's another thing. The quarterfinals could be very fun to watch. Very, very fun to watch. Now, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the comments here. Some are saying Uruguay versus Brazil will be very good in the quarters. Zungao is saying Costa Rica is weak. So we're getting some similar comments here. Now, for Argentina, we do know the schedule. So Argentina plays either Canada or Trinidad and Tobago on June 20th in Atlanta, and that's the opening match of the entire Copa America. That's the first game. And then the second one's against Chile on June 25th in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. And the last time Argentina played a Copa America match in the United States was in MetLife Stadium against Chile. So there's a lot of history there. And then the third group stage match for Argentina is versus Peru on June 29th in Miami. So all East Coast matches, we know the games. Is there one match maybe in particular for you, Osvaldo, that you're looking forward to out of these three, or for you it's just bring it on and let's play all three teams?
Mm, it's a good question. I think all of the matches have something special. Just the opening match in the Atlanta United Stadium, which is really nice. That it could be against Canada. That I think it's a good rival. Maybe if you ask me like quickly, if Canada beats Trinidad and Tobago, of course, it could be the hardest opponent for Argentina, and it's gonna be in the starting match. So that one is gonna be good. Then Chile in New Jersey with all the recent history between Argentina and Chile in Copa America is gonna be good, and it's a good opportunity, taking into consideration how Chile are playing to beat them and score a couple of goals, and then finishing with Peru in at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, which is just a couple of hours from where I live. I think that the atmosphere of that game will also be good because in Miami there's a lot of not only Argentinians but also from the rest of Latin America. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of Peruvians. So I think there's gonna be a good atmosphere in this Copa America in general. There's insane the amount of Latin Americans that are in the United States. Of course, mostly in Florida, I would say, but also in the rest of the states. You always see a bunch of people from Latin America, from Argentina, and I know a lot of people that are gonna fly and follow their team. So I think it's gonna be a really good Copa America.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I mean, even just the 2016 edition, the atmosphere, the fans, you could tell it. There's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of Latin Americans in the United States, period, in general. And for Argentina, someone mentioned it earlier. I think every match for Argentina, bar maybe against the United States, and even at that, I think every match for Argentina will end up being almost like a home game with the amount of support that they're going to have. And even more so now with everybody, or with a lot of people jumping and becoming Messi fans and Argentina fans, even more now. So I think we're going to end up seeing a lot of Argentina flags and fans at the stadiums. And I'm very much looking forward to it. Someone mentioned, Canada being unknown and it's a tricky opening game, and I do agree with that. Opening matches at any tournament, we saw it at the last World Cup for Argentina. It's always difficult. It's always tricky, and you never want to underestimate, the opponent. Uh, but I think as long as Argentina get the 3 points versus either Canada or Trinidad and Tobago, I think they'll be fine. They'll be good after that. Um, I It's not that I want revenge. I know it sounds weird, but I do want them to just maybe completely blow Chile out the water at MetLife, just to kind of get rid of that, that bad taste, so to speak. But
For
no,
sure.
I'm looking forward to all three games.
Yeah, yeah, but at the same time, we already know that we lost that final, and unfortunately, there's even though we beat them 5-0, like the best revenge is just to continue winning and forgetting about Chile. That
That's
they
it.
haven't qualified in the last two World Cups, and we've done very well in these last couple of years. So I don't really think that the players, which are completely different, most of them, are gonna think about a revenge.
Yeah, no, 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 absolutely not, absolutely not. And like you said, it's not even just revenge. It's just beat them, just get the win.
Yeah, 4 or 5
Just beat
goals.
them. That's it. That's it. Jaco Taco is saying, outside of our matches, I look forward to Uruguay versus USA, Colombia, Brazil. I think those are going to be the good ones, the good, solid matches to watch as well. Um, and Vroom saying Copa is going to be much more interesting than the Euros. I agree, especially I don't know about you, Osvaldo. I'm not a fan of the Euros when it comes to third place teams being able to qualify. It just kind of takes away from all of it.
I agree. I agree, and I want to ask you because I personally like this format with 10 CONMEBOL teams and
Yeah.
6 CONCACAF teams. It helps that the organization is, I think, here in the US where they have incredible stadiums. But I really like this format with CONMEBOL and CONCACAF. I honestly don't know if it's probably gonna be the only case in a long time. I mean, we thought the same in 2016, and then it's happening again now. But I think if we keep this kind of Copa America, take into consideration the growth of teams like Canada, the United States, I think it would be interesting.
I am I agree. I don't really have much of a problem in terms of the CONCACAF teams joining and playing in the Copa America. I will say this: I don't see the as bad as this sounds, and I don't mean any disrespect. I don't know how it benefits the CONMEBOL teams, the South American teams. Obviously, I think it benefits the CONCACAF teams a lot more because they're playing on paper in general against teams of maybe a higher level. But I don't mind this format. I think it's good. 4 groups of 4. I have no problems with that. I know at one point we had teams like Qatar and Japan being invited to the Copa America, which was a little bit odd for me. I understand why they did it, but if that's the case, then yes, I would prefer this format than to just have, teams from halfway across, the world being
Oh,
invited to take part
sure.
in the tournament, at least. Um, People are asking about tickets. Not yet, not out yet. We don't have much info. Actually, we don't have any information in
No.
regards to the tickets.
No,
Not yet.
but let me tell you something because I also read a comment on YouTube that day when you posted a video in CONMEBOL in the website. If you go to the CONMEBOL website, they have a big banner there where you can put your information, your email, and they will send you as soon as they have the news for tickets. So that's what I did, and I think it's useful information. You just go to the
There you
CONMEBOL
go.
website and you can sign up for the latest news about tickets.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for that as well. We'll be doing that. We'll absolutely be doing that. Jago Taco saying, if we have North American sides playing in the Copa America, the tournament needs to be held in South America. It's not fair for the fans in the continent. This I agree with, absolutely. I would like to have seen this tournament maybe held in South America. I know last time it was supposed to be held initially in Argentina and Colombia, right? And then the whole COVID happened and a bunch of stuff, and then it ended up being held in Brazil. But I'm a fan. If they're going to keep doing this, then have the tournament take place in South America. This I fully agree with. Now, kind of continuing, Rajit's asking a word on Lionel Scaloni's continuity. Is he going to stay on as the coach or not? Osvaldo, you sent me the quote, and we don't have an answer just yet, at least not yet in terms of Scaloni. Although he did talk.
Yeah, he talked, but he didn't say much. Like he
No,
didn't say anything, I would say. What he said was that he was still thinking his decision, uh, and he briefly mentioned that his relationship with the president of AFA has been good as always in this last couple of weeks. The information that is going on different channels is that the relationship is not that good. Um, Today, I don't know if you read this, Roy, but I think it was Alejandro Dominguez, the
yeah,
president of
president.
CONMEBOL, that
Uh,
said,
the comment about Scaloni and Tapia.
"Yeah, yeah, I wanna find it to
He,
to say it
yeah,
exactly."
he said I read that, and it, it almost sounded like he was siding with Tapia instead of Scaloni. Like Tapia is the one in charge.
He
Uh,
yeah he gave a lot of credit to Tapia, maybe almost
too much,
over Scaloni. That
too
if
much
you asked, yeah, it was something like Scaloni is the one that the
strategist
strategy, yeah, the strategy, but Tapia is the one that it's
leading the
the
ship.
lead. Yeah, exactly
Yeah,
that. And if you ask to any Argentina fan in Argentina, they would think that it's not like that. That Argentina have won the World Cup, um, like
because of Scaloni, not because of
yeah,
Tapia.
of course, because of Scaloni. And
Yeah.
if you follow the first division of Argentina, you will see that it's not good at all, and Tapia has most of the blame for it. So yeah, it was not a good quote there from the president of CONMEBOL, and
No.
throughout the day they were talking a lot about that.
Yeah, no, that was I saw that. Excuse me, I saw that. Yeah, he was Tapia, like you said, mentioned. Scaloni is the strategist, but Tapia is the one leading the ship. So for me, it sounded like he was siding with Tapia more than Scaloni. Uh, but we'll see what gives. As you mentioned, Osvaldo, Scaloni talked, but he didn't say much. Like there was no answer. There was nothing. Essentially, nothing new. Nothing. No new information. He didn't say he was leaving. He didn't say he was staying on. It was just kind of like yeah, I'm still the coach. I'm here because I'm the coach, but the players need someone that has a lot of energy and all that stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Scaloni.
Yeah, he was saying that there's still time to think. That's what Scaloni was saying, and the information is that he will be the coach for the Copa America. The thing is,
Yeah.
what is gonna happen after, and based of some of the information from Gaston Edul and other journalists, is that yeah, the relationship is not only that it's not that good, that in these days they haven't really talked, or Tapia haven't really called Scaloni after what he said just a couple of days ago. So we'll see, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. And we still, before anybody asks, I know we're all kind of wondering the same thing. No one really knows for sure what's going on, right? If it's a matter of issue, if it's a politics thing, people have their theories, but for now we don't know. But I'm gonna go with kind of what you said, Osvaldo. I think Scaloni stays on until the Copa America. After that, who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows what's gonna happen?
the fact that he came today to the Copa America draw, I think it marks that he's gonna be present as the coach.
Yeah. No, exactly, absolutely, yeah. So that was kind of the Copa America draw. Excuse me, draw. Master TV is saying Copa America and the Euros will happen around the same time. Well, it is that. It's going to be like the last time, the last Copa America and the last Euros. Remember, Argentina won the Copa America on Saturday, and Italy beat England on Sunday, the next day in the Euros. So it's going to be happening around the same time. So a lot of football,
Nah, of
which is always a good thing, in my opinion.
course.
Always a good thing. But yeah, so that was the draw. Overall, Osvaldo, I think we're feeling good about this, I would say.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I would like to. My last question is for you and for the chat. That how would you rate in difficulty our group, from 1 being easy and 10 being very difficult? I would say it's a 4.
Yeah, I would say maybe 4 or 5 out
Okay.
of 10 difficulty, or around that. I don't think it's an overly difficult group, to be very honest with you. I'm not saying it's an easy group. I just don't think it's an overly difficult group. I'd say a 4 or a 5. I think that's fair. Had we gotten, let's say, an Uruguay, sure, then it would have gone up. But we just beat Peru. We just beat Peru in October, and Chile's not doing too well, and then Canada or Trinidad and Tobago, depending on who it is. So
Yeah.
I'll say a 4 or a 5. I tend to agree. And if we look at everybody else, Ismail is saying 3, Vroom is saying, sorry, 6, Ismail is saying 3, Kshitish 4, Master TV 5, that's Jeet 5, Nani 5, and Liam. Hello, Liam, as well. I had a couple of comments earlier. Liam says 5 as well. I think that's a fair rating. I would say 4 or 5. I think it's pretty good. And Zongao is saying pretty easy group, level 4. There you go. And then even after that, Mexico or Ecuador in the quarters, or Venezuela, Jamaica, it could be more difficult. It could be a Colombia or an Uruguay or Brazil. So I think overall, it's a pretty good draw for Argentina, at least on paper. And saying this realistically, not confident, but just kind of realistic. I think it's a good group. It's a good draw. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
totally agree.
yeah. Master Azar, well, last question. I'm gonna ask this to everybody as well. And Osvaldo, we've talked about this in the past. Are you gonna be going to any games? I'm certainly gonna be trying to go to as many games as I could, but the closest one for me is MetLife
Yeah.
in New Jersey, which I've been to before. I actually watched Messi score a hat trick versus Brazil in that stadium 4-3. So that's the big one for me. I'm probably gonna go to.
Yeah.
Osvaldo?
I'll tell you that right before starting this live, I was already booking the flight to Atlanta, Georgia,
Atlanta.
which is very close to here to Florida. So yeah, my plan is to go with my sister. We were thinking about this plan since a couple of months ago, since we knew that the Copa America was gonna be played here and that we live here. So our plan is to try to go to as many games as possible. We're gonna try to be there in Atlanta. Then the third match is in Miami, which we're gonna try
Good
to
draw.
go. The only thing is yeah, tickets. The tickets for the games. I don't know how long are they gonna be available really, because there's a lot of people that are gonna try to go. I don't know the prices too. Hopefully they're not that high. It's gonna be that's gonna be hard.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be the main thing. It's obviously the tickets. I know we've spoken about it. You told me in the past you were thinking of going to Atlanta to that game. Um, Hopefully there are tickets. We'll see what we can do about that. Master Azar says, I'll bring it up. So Nani, the opening game in Atlanta, that's the one. Master Azar says you can only watch Brazil since he's in California, and Brazil's playing on the West Coast. Yes, Brazil's West Coast, Argentina's East. Tesca, hello Tesca. Tesca says I'm going to try to go to all group games and the final. That's maybe an advantage for those on the East Coast, like yourself, Osvaldo, me too, in terms of for Argentina, if they do make the final, all the matches essentially are going to be on the East Coast for us.
Yeah, and let me
So
tell you something else that I was reading these last couple of days. That the information that we have is that so Argentina was the AFA was building a training center in Hialeah that it's here
yeah,
in Miami, um, and they would try to be training by this Copa America there and also in the World Cup. Well, the fact is that they the construction is going on, so they won't Argentina won't train in Miami in that AFA new training center. They will probably use it for the 2026, but the idea is to stay in Miami and probably train at
Inter
the
Miami.
yeah the Inter Miami facilities, which at least for me it would be great because it's really close from here, and also our idea, Roy, is with Mundo Albiceleste to even post more things that we usually do on a daily
Of course.
basis. Try to go as media to most of the games. So the our idea is to cover this big tournament from the place where the matches take place. So I think that that would be great, and for all of you that are Argentina fans, it would be incredible to you to continue to follow us in all the platforms, YouTube, Twitter, and the website.
No, there you go, Osvaldo. You kind of mentioned it. We are working on something special in regards to the Copa America for everybody. Having special access, more videos, a lot more content, guys. It's what we're working on, trying to piece together, trying to put together. Especially if they end up staying, as you said, in Miami and training at Inter Miami Stadium. That's going to be a big one for us as well. So hit the like button, hit subscribe button, hit the notifications button. We got a lot of stuff coming your way. Um, on that note, Osvaldo, we're good. Any final thoughts, final comments as well?
Um, no, I would say just that I think it's a good draw for Argentina. It's always exciting to look forward for a new tournament. It's gonna be also another good preparation for the next World Cup, and hopefully we continue winning trophies.
Yeah. Oh, that's the main one, right?
Yeah,
That's the main one. Absolutely. No, absolutely. It's I think it's a good draw for Argentina, and I'm not going to go any further than that. I'm just going to knock on wood and say it's a good draw. On that note, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Hit the like button if you haven't. If hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button. We got more stuff coming your way. It's not just the Copa America draw, but a lot more content. Once more, everybody, my name is Roy Nemmer of MundoAlbiceleste.com. I was joined by Osvaldo, also of MundoAlbiceleste.com. Take care, everybody. Until next time, be safe. Bye, everyone.